Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Before we go any further, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and don't forget the bell, because trust me, what's coming next? You don't want to miss it. And hey, if you didn't watch part 1, pause this video right now. Go watch it. You need that context. Links in the description. Go. All right, let's catch you up real quick. Last time we saw Michonne slice up a whole bunch of walkers like she was at a zombie arcade. Girl found this walker cage in town, grabbed her sword, and went full beast mode. But the governor wasn't feeling that. Dude got pissed and ended up capturing her, so now Michonne's tied up, beat up, but not broken. The governor's trying to play mind games, asking questions, trying to get info out of her. But she ain't saying a word, just staring him down like, you messed with the wrong one. So he told her, I know what you're trying to do. You want me to kick you out so Andrea leaves with you. But Andrea likes it here and won't go unless I kick you out. Then the governor offered her a spot in his crew instead of causing all this drama. But Michonne pulled out her sword, threatened him, and left. After that, the governor called Andrea to his place and told her everything Michonne had done. That she stole her sword, killed walkers they had kept for experiments, and so on. So Andrea went to talk to Michonne. Michonne told her, we need to leave right now. Something's wrong with this place. Andrea disagreed and said the place was fine. Michonne said, come with me. Let's try to leave, and you'll see they won't let us. Andrea agreed, and they went to the gate where Merle was standing guard. Funny thing is, Merle had just gone with some guys to trap more walkers using pipes that made noise. The walkers would fall into a pit, and they'd haul them back in nets. When Merle saw Andrea and Michonne trying to leave, he calmly opened the gate and said goodbye. Andrea was shocked. She expected them to stop her like Michonne said. But that didn't happen, so Andrea changed her mind and decided to stay. Michonne got super upset and left Woodbury alone. Andrea was heartbroken after her friend left, so the governor came and comforted her. They got even closer. Yeah, they pretty much fell in love. Then he took her to one of their monthly events. When Andrea got there, she saw a crowd of people watching something. Turns out it was walkers tied up with chains, and Merle and another guy were fighting each other in the middle of them, like it was some kind of gladiator match. Andrea was disgusted and wanted to leave. The governor told her, relax, we pulled out the walker's teeth. This is just for fun. People like it. Andrea didn't buy it, but she stayed quiet. Next day, Michonne was proven right. Merle and some guys went out, on orders from the governor, to kill her. Luckily, Michonne was ready and took out 2 of them, but she got shot in the leg by Merle. She managed to escape. Later, while Merle was tracking her with a younger guy, Michonne jumped out again and fought the young guy. She would have died if a walker herd hadn't shown up. She and Merle fought them off, and she managed to escape again. Merle had had enough, so he told the young guy, she's injured. She's gonna die anyway. Let's go back and tell the governor she's dead. But the kid wanted revenge for his friends, so Merle shot him and left him behind. Meanwhile, Glenn and Maggie were outside the prison, looking for baby formula for Judith, Rick's daughter. While they were talking about the prison, Michonne happened to be hiding nearby and overheard them. And it was a good thing, because Merle suddenly showed up and ambushed them. Glenn was shocked to see Merle alive. Merle pretended to be nice and asked where his brother Daryl was. Glenn said, wait here, I'll go get him. But Merle wasn't buying it. He attacked them, forced Glenn to drop his weapon, and took both Glenn and Maggie to Woodbury. Michonne saw everything and felt guilty, thinking it was her fault Merle found them. So she picked up the formula and headed to the prison to warn Rick and the others. A while later, she arrived outside the prison. Rick spotted her, but she was covered in walker blood, so no walkers were attacking her. Eventually, the blood wore off, and walkers started going after her. She fought them off but passed out from her injury in front of the gate. Thankfully, Carl saved her and brought her inside. Meanwhile, Daryl was still sad about Carol, thinking she was dead. Then suddenly he heard a door knocking. He opened it and found Carol alive, hiding. He was so happy and brought her back to the others. Rick sat with Michonne to learn more about her. She didn't talk at first, so he had Herschel patch her up. Afterward, Rick asked why she came with baby formula. She told him, a Chinese-looking guy and a girl had it, but some scumbag from a place called Woodbury kidnapped them, and I'm sure he won't let them go easy. That's when Rick and the gang realized what happened to Glenn and Maggie, and without wasting time, decided to go rescue them. After Michonne healed up, Rick took her, Daryl, and Oscar to Woodbury to save them. Meanwhile, over in Woodbury, Andrea was totally clueless. She was all cozy with the governor and always hanging around him. The governor kept her busy by having her help Milton with his weird zombie experiments. But on the other side of town, Merle had Maggie locked in one room and Glenn in another. He was torturing Glenn nonstop, trying to force him to say where Rick and the others were hiding. But Glenn, man, he took the beating like a champ. Didn't say a single word. Maggie could hear everything, but she had no idea how to help him. Eventually, Merle got sick of it. He was like, "All right, I'm done," and dragged in a walker, threw it into the room with Glenn, and locked the door. Glenn started freaking out, pushing the walker back, still tied up and not knowing what to do. Then he threw himself back against the wall, broke the chair he was tied to, and took that walker out right at the last second. When Merle saw that even that didn't break Glenn, he went straight to the governor and told him the whole story, from the start to now, and said, "Yeah, I've got Glenn and Maggie. They definitely know where my brother is." Now the governor, he wasn't messing around. All he cared about was finding out where Glenn and Maggie's group was hiding so he could kill them before they caused trouble. So he went to see Maggie. And no, he didn't hit her. But the dude was straight up trash. He treated her like garbage, made her strip just to humiliate her. Then he dragged her into Glenn's room, and when Glenn saw her like that, he totally broke. He thought they'd done something horrible to her. That's when the governor tried to get them to talk. He said he'd kill Glenn right in front of Maggie if they didn't give up their location. Sadly, Maggie gave in and told him, "They're at the prison." So he just left them locked in the room together and walked off. After that, he met up with Merle and his guys and told them to lock Woodbury down tight. He figured Glenn's people might show up any minute to try and break them out. And guess what? Right around that time, Rick had already made it to the walls of Woodbury. At that moment, Rick and the crew were outside Woodbury planning how to break in. That's when Michonne told them there's a secret entrance they could use. So yeah, they snuck in through there and moved quietly until they managed to hide out in one of the houses inside town. Michonne had a hunch. She figured the governor might be keeping Glenn and Maggie in a certain spot. Rick trusted her, and without wasting time, they threw smoke grenades all over the streets to create chaos and headed straight for where Glenn and Maggie were being held. Meanwhile, Glenn knew Merle could kill him at any moment, so he decided to save himself. Couldn't just wait around for help. He grabbed the walker he killed earlier, snapped off one of its bones, and broke it into two sharp pieces. He gave one to Maggie and kept the other. Then they waited. When one of the guards showed up with Merle, they pounced, took out the guard and jumped Merle. But right after that, more of the governor's men showed up. They overpowered Glenn and Maggie, tied them up, and put black hoods over their heads. Looked like they were about to execute them. Luckily, Rick, Daryl, and Oscar got there just in time, threw more smoke grenades, grabbed Glenn and Maggie, and got them out. They ran back to the safe house, but Michonne didn't go with them. She had her own mission. She went straight to the governor's house to settle the score. Back with Rick, once they made sure Glenn and Maggie were okay, even though Glenn was beaten up bad, Glenn told Daryl, "Your brother Merle did this to us." Daryl was hurt but still wanted to see Merle. He missed his brother, but Rick begged him to wait. "Not now, we don't have time," he said. Daryl agreed and stayed. Rick was getting ready to help them escape again, but still didn't know where Michonne had gone. He didn't think too much about it and went straight to the fight, throwing smoke grenades in the streets and taking down the governor's guards one by one. Andrea, by the way, saw the fighting, but couldn't tell who was who because of all the smoke. She thought Rick's group were enemies and even started shooting at them. During the chaos, Glenn and Maggie managed to climb over the wall and escape. Rick and Daryl were still inside, fighting off more of the governor's men. Then something really bad happened. Rick started hallucinating again. He saw Shane walking toward him, but it wasn't Shane. It was one of the governor's men. Because of the hallucination, Rick hesitated, and the guy shot Oscar and killed him. Rick snapped out of it and took the guy down, but it was too late for Oscar. Rick had no choice. He jumped over the wall and escaped. Unfortunately, Daryl got left behind in the fight. Now back with the governor, he was worried about his daughter, who was actually a walker. So he rushed home to check on her. Meanwhile, Michonne had made it into his secret room, the one with all the walker heads in tanks. She even saw the head of that pilot the governor claimed died in a crash. That's when she realized the governor had killed him and was hiding it. Then she found the governor's precious walker daughter, Penny. Just as she was about to put her down, the governor showed up and begged her not to. But Michonne didn't care. She said, "She's already gone," and killed her. The governor went completely nuts. He attacked Michonne, and the two of them got into a brutal fight. He nearly killed her, but she grabbed a piece of glass and stabbed him right in the eye. She picked up her sword and was about to finish him off. But boom! Andrea showed up, gun in hand, and stopped her at the last second. Michonne, respecting their past friendship, didn't fight back. Andrea let her go, and Michonne walked away. Michonne made it back to Rick, Glenn, and Maggie. Rick was pissed that she left them behind, but she told him, "I had something I needed to do." Rick said, "We're not done. We have to go back in. Daryl's still in there." Michonne agreed, and they started preparing for another rescue. Meanwhile, Andrea rushed the governor to the hospital. He got treated, but yeah, he lost an eye. Later, Andrea asked him, "Why did you have walker heads and your daughter locked up like that?" But he didn't answer. He just took her to the gladiator arena. There, the whole town had gathered. The governor stepped up and told everyone, "I failed to protect you, but that's because there's a traitor among us. Daryl Dixon. He let his brother and the others sneak in and attack us." Then the governor brought out Daryl. Yeah, they had caught him. Daryl was shocked to see his brother, and Merle looked just as stunned. The governor looked at Merle and said, "If you're really one of us and didn't betray us, prove it. Kill your brother." Andrea tried to stop him, but he ignored her. Next thing you know, Daryl and Merle are thrown into the arena surrounded by walkers, forced to fight. At first, Merle acted like he was going to kill Daryl, started beating on him, but then they teamed up and started fighting off the walkers together. And thank God, Rick and Maggie had already made it back. They started shooting from the outside. They threw gas bombs, so right away Daryl and Merle ran off with Rick and Maggie. And yeah, because of all the chaos, the walkers spread out everywhere. But in the end, the governor's men finished everything off, though a few people died. After all that, morning came, and Daryl and Merle had escaped with Maggie and Rick, and they went back to Glenn and Michonne, who were waiting. Of course, when Glenn and Michonne saw Merle, they wanted to kill him, but Rick calmed them down. Then Rick took everyone aside from Merle and said that no one's going to touch him, but he's not coming back to the prison with them. Daryl didn't like that and told them, "If Merle's not coming with us, then I'm not coming either." That's when he told Rick, "Please don't leave me, especially since the governor could show up at the prison anytime and kill us. I need every single one of you." But Daryl said, "I'm sorry, I left my brother once before. I'm not leaving him again." And he just took Merle and left. Rick, even though he didn't like it, took everyone and headed back to the prison. On the other side, at the prison, we see a group of people running away from walkers. One of the women was bitten, but her husband was carrying her and running with her. The idea here is that they ended up finding the prison, my friend, so they went in. At that time, Carl was sitting with everyone, and suddenly he heard people screaming from the back cell blocks. So he grabbed his gun and ran toward the sound. The walkers had surrounded that group and were about to eat them. But thank God, Carl killed a bunch of them and brought the group back to their cell block. Now that woman who got bitten ended up dying, so Tyrese, by the way, he's one of the group, told the woman's husband to take their son and step away a bit. Meanwhile, he sat with his sister Sasha, who's also part of the group. Then, so the woman who got bitten wouldn't turn into a walker, they handled it. After that, Herschel came in and started treating anyone who was hurt or anything. They told him that they were part of a group living in a camp, but the walkers had reached the camp and killed everyone, and only the 5 of them survived. Well, 4 now, after the woman died. Overall, Herschel told them, "We might take you in, but we have to wait until our group leader Rick comes back from outside, because he's the one who decides." Tyrese was super anxious that they might kick them out after all that, but they stayed and waited. After a while, Rick arrived and Carol and Carl opened the gate for him. He came inside and of course everyone greeted each other. Then Carol started crying when she found out from Rick that Oscar died and that Daryl wasn't coming back to the prison because he left with Merle again. But in general, everyone calmed down and went back inside. So Herschel kept treating Glenn, Maggie, and Michonne, who was in really bad shape. Then Rick stood with them and told them everything that had happened and said the governor could be coming for them at any moment now. Herschel told him, "Then we need every person we can get." So they brought Herschel, Sasha, and the others and introduced them to Rick. After hearing their story, Rick was kinda suspicious, like they might be dangerous, so he wasn't down with letting them stay. He pulled Herschel aside and told him, "What you're doing is wrong. You gotta give new people a chance now." At that moment, Rick was just about to agree, but then his old state kicked back in and he started hallucinating again, seeing his dead wife Lori in front of him. He immediately pulled out his gun and told Therese and the others to get out right now. So yeah, they all left, upset. And of course, neither Herschel nor anyone else talked to Rick again because they realized all that pressure was messing him up bad, and they had to respect that. Anyway, the next day, Rick was standing alone, watching over the area, making sure no one was around the prison. But sadly, the hallucination made him think Lori was standing outside the prison, so he opened the gate and walked out. Michonne was there and closed the gate behind him. Walkers could have gotten in, by the way. After walking out, he stood in front of Lori, totally out of it but also in deep sorrow. Meanwhile, inside the prison, Glenn was planning with Carl and the others about what they could do to deal with the governor. Glenn, by the way, wanted to take Michonne and sneak out to kill the governor and end the whole thing quietly, because otherwise they'd die. At that moment, he told them, "Right now we don't have Daryl, and Rick's hallucinating and just sitting outside the prison, so I'm the one responsible for keeping you all safe." Then he said, "All right, I won't go kill the governor, but I will take the car and drive around outside the prison to make sure no one's watching us." So Glenn took the car and left the prison. Meanwhile, back in Woodbury, the governor went to Andrea and told her, "I know you're upset because I kept stuff about your friends from you, but they're dangerous people. Still, I'm done. I'm not going to do anything to them anymore, and let's just forget the past." Andrea said, "I want to go see them." He told her, "That's not a good idea. People in the town love you and listen to you. You need to stay here and calm them down, because they're all on edge after what your friends did." Andrea believed him, and he left. Where'd he go? He went to see Milton, his buddy we talked about before, the one who mainly does zombie experiments. He asked Milton to keep a close eye on Andrea, then walked off. Back at the prison, Herschel walked over to the fence and started calling out for Rick until Rick finally came. Herschel said, "Please, Rick, snap out of it and come back. Glenn can't handle being the leader. He's overwhelmed." "You used to handle all this." Rick said, "I'm here to figure out why Lori keeps appearing to me. There's gotta be a reason. She's always praying." And that was it. Rick walked off again, still chasing Lori's ghost outside the prison. Meanwhile, Carol was standing around talking to Axel. Then bam! A bullet to the head, and Axel was gone just like that. Suddenly, everyone looked up and saw the governor and his men outside the prison gates, shooting from all directions. Everyone scattered, taking cover. Herschel hit the ground so he wouldn't get shot. Rick started firing back at the governor and his guys, but he ran out of bullets. That's when Maggie and Beth showed up, gave Carol a gun, and they all started firing back. They managed to take down a few of the governor's men. Then the governor brought out a truck and had a guy ram it straight into the prison gates, breaking through into the yard. The back of the truck opened, and guess what? It was full of walkers. Yeah, he brought a whole herd of zombies with him on purpose. The guy who was driving the truck, one of the governor's men, jumped out and ran off, all suited up and armored, while the rest of the governor's crew left the zombies behind and took off. Now here's the problem. All the noise attracted zombies from outside toward Rick, and the ones already inside were moving toward Herschel. Thank God Glenn heard all the gunfire and came speeding back in a car. Yeah, he was late, but just in time to pick up Herschel and get him to safety inside the prison. Rick, though, he was surrounded by walkers and just about done for. But boom, Daryl and Merle showed up and saved him, wiping out all the zombies. You might be wondering, why did Daryl come back? Well, you'll find out in the next video. Don't miss it, it's gonna be wild. Well, that's all we've got for today. But what do you think? Can Daryl really trust Merle again? Is the governor done, or is he just getting started? And will Andrea finally pick a side? Stick around and don't miss the next episode. Things are only getting crazier from here. If you had fun watching, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out. And hey, if you're into The Walking Dead like I am, make sure you subscribe and turn on that bell so you don't miss the next parts. Trust me, things are about to get real crazy. See you in the next one.